Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, because right now you can see that Bitcoin is getting rejected from the 0.382 Fibonacci level, sitting at 63.2K, roughly speaking. So after getting this rejection here, we are now getting a bit of a move to the downside, and therefore we need to pay attention to this next Fibonacci level below the current price, which is the 0.236 Fibonacci level, sitting at about 60.6K. Because if the Bitcoin price reaches this low, you really need to pay attention what is happening around this price level. Because if you see the Bitcoin price breaking through, it would definitely have some bearish implications in the short term. And zooming in on this 4-hour time frame, you can see that Bitcoin held this big level of support. However, after getting this rejection here, we have now fallen back inside this big level of support, sitting from 62.4K all the way down to 60,000 US dollars. So the next short-term level of resistance to pay attention to is right here at 63.6K, because breaking through that level would indicate that we are likely heading into this next big level of resistance, sitting from 65K all the way up to 66,000 US dollars. Now, one other thing that is noteworthy on this 4-hour time frame is the Bitcoin RSI, because right here you can see we just barely touched overbought territory. So that is whenever it reaches above the 70 level on the RSI. And typically when overbought territory is reached, you would need to see the RSI kind of reset back down a little bit, back to around this 50 level. And right now you can see that the RSI has fully reset at this point. Although zooming out to the 1-day time frame here, you can see that on this RSI, we are still in a larger downtrend for the RSI. And we have already reached into oversold territory right here. So right now we are basically in the process of resetting the RSI on the daily time frame. But as I said in yesterday's video as well, I do think that we can consider the RSI being fully reset here, because we already reached the 44 level. So now potentially we can come back down for another leg to the downside. So at least on this higher time frame, the thing to pay attention to is if you see the RSI creeping up back to this descending line of resistance, of what is going to happen around this level. Because breaking through it is going to indicate that we are likely going to see much higher price action for Bitcoin, where if the RSI is breaking out of that downtrend, likely we would see Bitcoin also breaking out of this descending channel. Yeah, we would just see much higher price action for Bitcoin. So the key level of resistance to pay attention to on this higher time frame is currently sitting at 69,000 US dollars. And the big level of support to the downside to pay attention to is 56.2K, roughly speaking. Now, of course, if we would see something like this, where we get weekly candle closes below this descending channel, that would obviously be very bearish, not only just because we went down in Bitcoin price. However, at the same time, we would just basically be breaking this broader uptrend that we are in, because then we would be setting lower lows in the Bitcoin price, which is usually not a good thing. So continuing to take a look at this 1-day time frame, we still have this exaggerated bullish divergence in play here, which is whenever you have equal lows in the Bitcoin price and higher lows in the RSI momentum indicator. And typically what that indicates is that the downtrend is losing its grip. However, there hasn't been a clear reversal signal yet. So basically it is just indicating some choppy sideways price action, which is exactly what we are seeing right now. And of course, recently we broke this downtrend, which was a little bit more bullish to see. But as I said in yesterday's video and the day before that, ideally, I would like to see something like this, where we actually retest this as a level of support before then blasting off to the upside. And right now it looks that potentially we are actually going down for that retest of this trend line once again. So the key price level to pay attention to here is 61.1K, roughly speaking, because if you just see the Bitcoin price falling straight through this level, it would likely have some bearish implications, at least in the short term, going down for another leg to the downside before potentially reversing back to the upside once again. But the key takeaway here is to pay attention to this level at 61.1K to 61.2K, roughly speaking. Now, before I move on with the Bitcoin analysis here, if you want to start leverage trading and potentially make money, regardless of if the Bitcoin price is going up or down by taking long or short positions, I recommend you go check out MEXC, which is the exchange that I'm affiliated with and that I leverage trade on personally. Now, the benefit of MEXC is that you can trade with up to 200x leverage with fees as low as 0.01%, which are some of the lowest fees in the crypto market. So I highly recommend you go check it out, regardless of if you are a beginner in leverage trading or if you are already leverage trading, but you are just at a different exchange, because likely you are heavily overpaying for your trading fees. And besides that, you can also get up to $1,000 in trading and depositing bonuses simply for depositing and trading on MEXC. Now, if you cannot register on MEXC or you cannot KYC on MEXC, then I recommend you go check out BlowFin, because on BlowFin, you have no KYC verification required. All you need to start trading on BlowFin is basically registering with your email address, and then you can trade with up to 150x leverage. And of course, you can also get up to $500 in trading and depositing bonuses. So I recommend you go check this out. You can find the links to this in the video description, as well as in the pinned comment below this video. So if you want to get access to these trading bonuses especially, then make sure you register with my affiliate link, because then you actually get access to those bonuses. Moving on with the Bitcoin analysis here, taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. First of all, on this 3-day time frame, right now you can see that on this move to the downside, we took out this big pocket of liquidity sitting at 62.2K roughly. However, there is still quite a bit of liquidity to the downside left. So for example, if we go to 61.1K, we will take out another $200 million worth of long positions that will get liquidated if the Bitcoin price reaches this level. Though at the same time, there is now also quite a bit of liquidity to the upside on this 3-day time frame, sitting as high as 64,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. And typically when there is liquidity to the upside and to the downside, I prefer zooming out to a bit of a higher time frame. So zooming out to this 1 month time frame for the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, you can see that again, there is still quite a bit of liquidity to the downside, as low as about 60,000 US dollars, potentially even 58K, but I do think this could potentially be a bit of a reach, because most of the liquidity is to the upside, with liquidity at 65K, 67K, 70K, and then most of the liquidity being at 72.3K. Now, in the case that you don't know, typically the Bitcoin price gets attracted to where there is the most liquidity on this chart. And right now that is at 72.3K. So I do think that so long as we hold this descending channel and this line of support here as a level of support, that at some point we are going to break out of this descending channel and sweep all of that liquidity to the upside. And taking a look at the Bitcoin ETF flow tables for today, you can see that this last week was actually pretty good in terms of inflows, because recently we had nothing but massive outflows from these Bitcoin ETFs, pushing the Bitcoin price down much lower. However, recently, after they flipped a little bit more neutral at the end of the week, we actually started seeing some decent inflows, even some inflows on Friday that are above average, with a $130 million net inflow, when on average they buy about $125 million. So overall, this is a good thing to see in my opinion. Now, of course, today we had a bit of a move to the downside. So I guess potentially tomorrow we can see another outflow from these ETFs. But I do think overall, if this trend continues, where we see net inflows from the Bitcoin ETFs every day, then obviously this is going to be bullish for the Bitcoin price action. Now taking a look at this 4-hour time frame for Ethereum, because we are getting rejected from this big level of resistance, sitting from 35.30 all the way down to 34.30. So now potentially we need to be looking at this next big level of support, which is the 0.618 Fibonacci level, sitting at 33.30. Although I would say that we could see some short-term support at around this level at about 33.70 or so, because we have seen some bounces from this level previously. Although if we're talking about big support, in the case that we break through that Fibonacci level, it would actually be this big level right here, sitting from 32.50 all the way down to 31.50. And if you see Ethereum breaking this 35.30 level at some point, then you need to be looking higher. For example, this short-term level of resistance sitting at 36.50. Taking a look at Solana then on this 4-hour time frame as well, Right now, we are getting very close to this 0.382 Fibonacci level once again, sitting at about $152. In fact, we even wicked up to this level, but then got a lot of selling pressure from there. So it's a little bit of a rejection once again. But for now, we seem to be holding this uptrend. Though in the case that you see something like this, so Solana breaking this uptrend right here, this could potentially be a bit of a reversal signal where maybe we get another rejection from this 0.382 Fibonacci level and then break this uptrend. But to be fair, we have seen a lot of bullish news for Solana recently with, for example, that potential Solana ETF coming at some point. So obviously this is going to have a bullish effect on the Solana price. And therefore, I would not be surprised if we actually break through this Fibonacci level. But I guess time will tell. Now, in terms of these short-term levels of support and resistance, of course, I talked about this Fibonacci level right here at about 152. But Solana is right now actually in a big level of resistance from $150 all the way down to $140. And breaking through that 152 level means that you need to look higher, for example, to this short-term level of resistance at 155. And then another short-term level of resistance sitting at $160. So those are some of the most important price levels that I'm paying attention to for Solana right now. This has been today's market update. Thank you very much for watching once again. Make sure to go check out those links to MEXC and Blovin to start leverage trading on there. And I will see you again tomorrow in the next one.